let me set the stage for you. Right? You wake up Saturday. You got a good night's rest, and you're carved up. You had some good meals. Like you didn't spend all night going to B-dubs, eating a bunch of freaking wings, and you consumed a total of 250 grams of fats in one meal. Like, no, you're good. You had some pasta. You're ready. Right? New group chat pops up. Every one of your dogs from your gym, dude, we're all hitting chest at 1. Are you coming? You say, goddamn right I am. Get your pre-workout. You got your straps. You got your reps. You got everything in order. You got your bag ready. You better go nuts. Right? Continental chest day. Continental freaking chest day. You say. You walk into the gym. You head over to the bench section. There's no benches. There's no weights. There's no barbells. It's just a bunch of freaking chairs, man, in a circle. And then there's one chair left. Your buddies wave you over like, come on, man, it's cool. Just come over here. Come. We just want to talk. Right, you put your stuff down. It's like, what's going on here? What's the problem? And whoever the top dog lifter is of the group, because he wants what's best for you. He comes up and he stands up a little. Look, man, we're getting worried about you. We're getting really worried about you, and it's starting to affect our lives too. Right? You never do your cardio. We always only see you come in here and do chest and arms. I haven't even seen you hit back for months. It's look, we want to hit legs. We want to come in and like, dude, I'm trying to bulk. If I want to eat more, I need my 30 minutes of cardio so I can actually kind of up my metabolism. And you're putting us down, So now you've got a choice. You're starting to realize this isn't a joke. These guys are upset. You have overstepped your boundaries, and this could go one of two ways, right? A moment like this, a cardio intervention, could go one of two ways. You may realize your error. I think, teary-eyed, I assume. You guys are right. You guys are right. Let's do some cardio, right? And that could be a game-changing moment. Your lifting trajectory could be permanently changed for the better. Or, dude, you know what? Screw you guys. Cardio kills gains. I don't need to do legs. I always wear pants. And then you become that guy, and that could be it, right? And you might lose a whole group of friends in the process. So that's all I can say there, right? Plus, getting back to an actual, real kind of take, you really are missing out, So we can do just a couple minutes of cardio rant, and then on the drive back, I'll look up I'll make a little QnA post and answer some sort of QnA questions. But yeah, I can think of a few things off the top of my head where the price of 30 minutes a day plus a small commute, or get a cardio bike at the house and then you're really good, is rewarded with, for one, better appetite, because you're going to be burning more calories during the daytime, so it'll be easier for you to eat more food because you're just a machine that's running through energy more effectively. A guy who just sits around at home all day and does nothing energy-wise, activity-wise, he's not going to need to eat a ton of food because his body isn't like this engine that's putting out massive power. He's just staying alive, right? Secondly, your endurance will get a massive boost. And by that, I'm talking about when you're coming in for a leg day, when you're coming in for a heavy chest day, or anything of the sort. Even if you don't really feel like you're a dude who ends up really huffing and puffing, if you've got better cardio, you're not going to need so long between sets of legs to be able to get back under the squat rack or the leg press and hit a few more. And not only that, but the sets that you do, they'll improve as well. Because if you've got a better ability to breathe and essentially re-oxygenate your freaking blood, you're going to be able to do sets that actually achieve failure anaerobically, right? So if I'm doing a set of squats, or if someone's doing a set of squats and their cardio is trash, they might have to stop the set before they've reached real muscular failure, because they're so out of breath they just can't even handle doing another one, So That's point number 2, boosted endurance. Point number 3, which is probably the one most people would actually, maybe turn their heads around for, because it's kind of a classic idea, is just being leaner. And I'm not saying, oh, it's going to help you diet, like of course it is, but just your baseline level of leanness and body fat composition will decrease if you've got cardio consistently in your schedule, just because, like I said a second ago, you're burning more energy. You're actually pumping out calories, which are going to have to be replaced. And some guys will, the classic argument against cardio, especially in the off season, if you're trying to grow, is, well, it's already hard enough for me to eat. Why would I want to burn 300 calories if I'm just going to have to make up for that with 300 more calories of food? And to that I will say, look, man, you're not a machine like that. It's not obviously calories in, calories out, but to have gone through the process of burning those 300 calories extra during the daytime, I promise, if you've ever gone into a real deep off season and you're actually trying to get bigger and continue to eat like legit meals, you're going to see it. You're going to see the ease of consumption begin to appear. And I really can't overstate that. But all that's to say is that I'm headed over to do my 30 minutes, and then I will I'll just see you in like basically 4 seconds back in the car, most likely drenched. All right, so cardio complete. There we go. Yeah, cardio complete. Decided to make a trip to the local Planet Fitness. It's got good cardio bikes in there. Plus, I haven't been in for a little while. I've been missing my purple and yellow gym kick. But while this, so I just posted a Q&A on the YouTube. That's where all those get kind of put. And I always do a first come, first serve kind of basis. So there's only like 5 questions right now. So I'll wait for them to load in. But I was kind of being a little bit of a hater a second ago, because leaving the gym, all the cardio stuff is on the far end, and then you walk through the whole place, past all the weights to leave, and I see an older dude. He's got 3 plates on the Smith and a 10. So I pretend to play on my phone. Really, I'm just watching because I want to see what kind of set goes down. Because if the guy was doing like full ROM reps, I would have said holy smokes. Yeah, let's just say full range of motion was not met. What's the opposite of full? Empty range of motion reps were viewed. So as soon as I saw a few of those during the set start, that was my cue to just freaking roll. But let's see here. B-Man Jones 101. I'm down 60 pounds, but I'm having trouble getting back on the horse. I'd like to lose another 30 at least. Any tips? And for, it's hard to say. Right? It's hard to say exactly. There's a lot of different tips you could do. It's like just eat less food, do more cardio, try some kind of fasting approach where you don't eat until 2, and then it makes it easier to stay under a limit. But if you're down 60 pounds, clearly you're doing something right, Mr. Jones. So let's think about this. I guess I'd be curious, what body fat percentage are you now? Like, are you like 210, aiming for like a 170 lean? Or are you like a 250 aiming for like more like a 220? But I will say there's definitely what you could maybe describe as dieting fatigue, in the sense that the longer you do it, it kind of does just get trickier, right? Even for me. And it's a little different because I'm in more of like that lower body fat range percentage. Like I never get over like 15, so to drop down like 20 pounds, it's kind of just that last stretch already. But I'd have to say, if you're already down 60, you could just do a little bit of a main gaining portion where just don't go overboard, but just eat a little bit more food, almost having a bit of a refeed. Where let's say you lost 60 pounds in I couldn't tell you exactly how long that would take on a normal rate. Pound a week, like a year. That sounds like at least getting up in that 10-month range. So maybe just take a pause, try to get your metabolism up a little bit more, eat maybe, I know it's a little counterintuitive, but as you lose body fat, to continue to lose it, you got to continue eating less and less. So if you get to a point where you feel like you're really pushing it diet, cardio-wise, but things aren't really happening, and you have already made a shit ton of progress already, that might be your cue to just have a small sort of pause, eat a little more food, get your metabolism going, and then ramp up your calorie intake, or I guess ramp down your calorie intake going forward. So it's almost like just this kind of pause situation where if I'm in an off season, I might be slamming food. I might take a month and just stay just about kind of at the same calorie intake, and then launch it back up again, right? If I feel like momentum's kind of ceasing. But also half of it is just going to be keep grinding. You know it's a slow process. If you've already lost 60 pounds, you're more than halfway there if your goal is only 30 more. But I'd say, as long as you're tracking everything, you got consistent cardio, I think you know what you're doing. It might just be more of a mental thing of you got to keep going, right? You're more than halfway. There's no point turning back now. It'd be foolish, right? So I'd say just try to maintain that momentum. What's your favorite protein powder flavor? Asks JCERV71. It depends. I've had some strawberry that I liked for a while, but then I got sick of it. Usually chocolate is kind of my go-to if there's nothing else kind of fancy. But I like some of the clear whey proteins, like where it's like a fruit flavored. It really just straight up tastes like an amino acid sort of drink. And as long as it's like of a certain quality, you should be good. As not replacing, but supplementing your protein intake with something like that. Because with the clear protein, it's a little bit of a kind of rumored sort of thing where to get to that just sort of, and this is just kind of half hearsay from me. So if anybody's a food scientist, you can weigh in here. But I remember hearing some girl who was like, actually in food science, she was talking about how to get to that level of like clarity when they bake the protein and dry it and everything else, it starts breaking it down to the point where it's losing its, I wouldn't say potency per se, but value as a protein source, right? Turning into more of just like BCAAs, right? Branch chain amino acids instead of essential amino acids, right? Like in a regular protein or something. But I'd say chocolate first and then clear protein second, something along those lines. Deltas Gym Fit. What's my biggest regret in life? I don't really have any yet. I feel like I've been going at a reasonable pace. You could definitely have a screw up. I mean, you can never not fumble the bag. So I'm not, knock on wood that I don't do something that I am going to end up having as a biggest regret. But even like smaller things, like if you had something going on with somebody and then it gets messed up, or maybe you bombed a class, or like some random, or you got, I mean, usually my thought process is you're kind of crying over spilled milk. I'm not going to say just forget about it. It doesn't matter if you did something that you really kind of look back on. You're like, damn, why the hell did I do that? Or why did I let that happen? Or, whatever. But that's what's making you now. Right? So if you're grinding, let's say you've got an awesome routine, you're just basically satisfied with where you are in life, then anything that's bad that happened to you before, or any kind of rough patch you were in, that was just a necessary stepping stone, which has gotten you wherever you are, right? So if you presently feel good about where you are and how things are going, and you're just like generally happy about, whatever the hell you're doing, then whatever bad happened to you before, that's just made you who you are now. And if any of that stuff didn't happen, who's to say you would still be here, right? So it's just kind of a character building thing. So I try not to, I'm sure there were things that had happened to me before where in the moment I would feel like it was like life altering fucking whatever, but you'll kind of figure out how to get past it, I guess. So I can pinpoint one specific thing. What arena in Clash Royale are you? I don't know the arenas. I know I'm at like 8,600 trophies. That's actually, no, that's not true. That's not true. I think I'm at 7,600. Yeah, okay. 7,554. So, not bad, but there's definitely room to keep grinding there. Let's see. Will I ever come down to Australia? Asks Justin MF4GP. Yeah, eventually. Gotta visit Mr. Priest, plus just get out in the freaking what do they call it? Oh man, You ever watch those guys where they would go out, it's basically two dudes, GoPro style, and then they'd catch mud crabs and bring them back, like catch and cook style? If you asked me what I wanted to do when I was 13, that would have been it. Just be a damn mud crab kind of guy, making those sort of videos. But yeah, I'll make my way down under. Probably not that soon, but eventually. Let's see here. What got you into fitness? I don't know. I was always kind of like just relatively athletic, like the diving and the swimming and stuff. I think the main thing was when I did gymnastics. There was one dude who was like 4 years or like 3 years older than my group, because it's kind of an age thing. So if you're 10, you're gonna get grouped up with like 10-year-old dudes. If you're 16, you're gonna get grouped up with those guys. It's kind of like soccer leagues, that sort of thing. So the biggest dude was crazy big compared to us. Looking at him from where I am now, I might not think the same thing, but he was. Yeah, so we always were talking about like, all right, we're gonna lift weights this summer. It never happened until eventually, once I quit doing it, that I kind of replaced it. But I don't know if I could pinpoint a specific thing. I know whatever it was, I'm glad it got me into it, but I couldn't say an exact, like, this one moment got me started. I don't have like a Batman story where like somebody made fun of me for being small or something. That wasn't my upbringing. Let's all right, we get a couple more in here. Looking at 3 questions, all the same. What got me into bodybuilding? I guess that's a little bit of a different question. What got me into bodybuilding? It's just kind of hand in hand with lifting weights and getting big. Because you wouldn't call someone who goes to the gym and just works out to be big a bodybuilder, because he might not compete in bodybuilding shows, right? But he is still building his body, right? So it kind of just goes hand in hand. Like, I feel like I'm kind of in this middle ground of like still doing good in like the sphere of bodybuilding, of like actually getting big, dieting down, and now actually having some like competition history. But that's almost just I don't want to say a byproduct, of course, because it's its own thing. It definitely has its own challenges. But if you already love working out and you love making progress and you love getting bigger, then that's what the bodybuilding is. So it's like someone has a job that they love to do. It doesn't feel like work, right? So a lot of these guys, when I see videos talking bodybuilding, it's all about the discipline and the motivation, and it's definitely there. I mean, I'm not saying I don't have any challenges with, like, especially the dieting down and all the cardio and everything. Like, that was definitely freaking tough. But with the regular just weights and like working out to make progress, like I'm not doing it because I'm like, okay, I need to do this workout to make this much progress so that I can step on stage next time I do. Like, that's not exactly the point. The point is just because it's so much fun doing this part that there'd be no reason not to compete on top of it, just because it's kind of the fun part, So it's a fish is going to swim, right? That's kind of how I feel about the matter. Let's get a few more in here, then we can head back. How do you deal with muscle tightness, and what do you do to prevent it? I don't do a ton to prevent it because I'm not an athletic figure, so I don't need to be very limber. But I do need to, if I ever wanted to go back to the diving board and do some flips and shit, I got to stretch out. Right? I got to loosen up. I've got a decent routine that I would go through sometimes if I wanted to get a little more limber. I'm talking, bend over with straight legs, touch your toes, kind of like turning sideways, some shoulder sort of stuff. But it's really just stretching out, right? So that's as simple as looking up, okay, tight shoulders, tight chest, tight chest stretching exercise, YouTube search. And you're probably going to see a million like 20-second long clips of guys where they just demonstrate how to do it, and then you can learn it from there, right? But I guess I'm more concerned with, like, why do you want to be flexible, right? What do you want to be flexible for, or to be able to do? Because if you can imagine that, then it's going to be no biggie, right? You can just kind of think about it. But let's get one more, if I can find one more good one. Was I always this driven with things in the past, like school or diving or work, or did the only thing you found passion in is bodybuilding? That's a good ender. So now I gotta delete this Actually, wait. Who said that comment? There we go. Well, my little Mexican friend 9907 asks, were you always this driven with everything, or is it really just the bodybuilding? So, since that's the last question, we can get rid of this thing. But, yeah, not exactly. You know, I'm not like it's not like in every endeavor I ever get into, like, you know, school or freaking whatever. I'm just like sitting there grinding. I don't have a, I guess you could kind of call it like a competitive personality that extends to every aspect of anything that I do. But I think it's just that the working out just kind of hit a switch in me where that's like just my thing, right? In the sense that basically every, you know, square that I could check off about it that would make me want to work hard on it is checked off, right? I like it. I'm kind of good at it. Like even just as a beginner, I was making pretty decent progress. And that's not something to just like take lightly, because obviously if you are kind of good at something, you do probably have a little bit of a tendency to want to get better at it, just because you can tell you have a little, it's like you've got a knack, right? So it's like you've just got a little bit of a aptitude for whatever that thing may be. So if I was already, you know, getting good at the lifting already, enjoyed it, didn't, you know, have anything else that I wanted to spend my time doing, like it's not like I had an after school schedule that was so grueling, like you know, like an AP student extracurricular kind of guy, where they're like, okay, band, track and field, school, after school studying. Like my schedule wasn't that packed. Like it wasn't packed like that. So if this is a thing I like to do, I'm good at doing, and has a very high skill ceiling in the sense that you can get better at it for a long time, and it's going to take a long time anyway, then I guess the last part of that square would be patience with it, right? Because it's not like I was working out year one thinking, if I don't look like me where I'm at right now today, it's not worth it. Like, no, it's coming up on 7 years now, and I feel like my excitement about it has not changed. If anything, it's gotten better, because now I've got a more detailed, like, you know, taste for what it is I like. You know, it's like if you ask somebody who's a coffee nut, you know, he's got a bit of a deeper, more textured enjoyment for it, because he's developed just more experience, right? He's got more knowledge, you know. So it's like a guy who likes pizza versus someone who like that's their thing. They're making pizza. They got a pizza oven at their house. Like they know so much about it, and it's almost like that pursuit of like knowledge and experience about any given subject. If it's something they can really dive into, turns into this positive feedback loop where they just want to keep doing it, and the more they learn about it, the just more enjoyment they get. You know, so that's my thing with the working out, and that's why I always talk about having a thing, right? Because I think everyone should work out. You know, I think if you're like a lunk hater, and you're looking at guys who they're a full-on bodybuilder lifting a tank top at your Planet Fitness, and you're like, put that away. You know, if that's you and you don't need this macho-ness, you're just trying to get your exercise in. Yes, I think that should everybody, no matter what you're into, you should have some kind of physical-based weight training going on, or at least cardio. Just because you are still this organic machine, you need exercise. If you've got a dog and he doesn't run around or play, you're going to say something's wrong with him. But when you look at you, or you look at someone you know, and they don't run around, they never break a sweat, they're never huffing and puffing because they're doing something physical, you don't think anything of it. You just think, oh yeah, he's not I don't want to sweat, right? That sucks, you know. But on top of that, I think everybody should have a little something, or at least go back and forth between a few things, right? Dive into a hyperfixation, go down a YouTube rabbit hole about whatever it could be, and just try some shit, right? Because the worst thing that's going to happen is you try, you watch a bunch of fucking Rubik's Cube videos, and then later on, once you snap out of it, you're like, why the hell do I have this big ass box of like 7x7s? This is right? But there's a very I want to say endless amount of things that people can get into and have be like their thing, right? I'm sure somebody who's like that. Everybody's got some kind of uncle somewhere who they have this massive train set in their basement, or they have this vintage car that they're constantly restoring, and maybe they're not even like they're not like a shop, they're not doing it to make money, they just, that's just what they like to do, you know. And I think having something like that is very valuable, because it just gives you another thing in your day to be excited about, right? A lot of guys, or a lot of just people in general, if you don't have things planned, or, you know, events, or like, oh, we're all going to hang out here and we're all going to do this, then your days can get a little monotonous, you know, and you're just doing the same stuff with seeing the same people, just, you know. But if you have your own thing to get into, then it can kind of break that, you know, monotony, because now, you know, you're going to bed and you're like, yeah, I did that. Or you're waking up, you're like, yeah, okay, I know what I'm going to do later today. You know, no matter what else is going on, right? And for me, the gym just happened to be that. So it's almost like I'm looking at it twofold. For one, I'm always going to work out no matter what, even if, like, in some alternate reality, I lost the itch to, you know, like, really kill it. I'd still want to be doing my cardio and just at least basic weights, just because I want to stay in shape, right? But beyond that, it's just a thing that I'd like to do, and I get enjoyment from kind of exerting myself during. So it's like, why wouldn't I? You know. So that's I don't want to say a calling, but it's not a bad way to look at it, you know. And the last thing you're going to want to do is not dive into something all the way, you know, with both feet, and just totally jump in and regret it later. Because, I mean, with the working out, I'm not saying you can never get in like awesome shape later on. Like if you start doing a fitness transformation at like 50 or 45, 40, whatever. But, you know, there's a reason guys are going to talk about their prime when they were, you know, like 20 or, you know, 30 something or so, because you're only going to be relatively young during that, right? So if your thing was like, oh, you know, I really wanted to, I wanted to see if I could get into bodybuilding, but I don't know, there wasn't any, I don't know if I'd be able to get anything out of it, or maybe it wouldn't be worth it, or, you know, like somebody was telling me I shouldn't go for it, and then, you know, you back off, right? You get the firing pin set up, you're about to go for it, it fizzled out. I don't want to do that. I'd rather look back and think, man, I should not have done that, than, oh man, I wish I would have, right? Because there's no answer. There is no guarantee. There's no aspect of looking back with regret and being able to say, oh, well, you know, maybe it wouldn't have even worked out. Who cares? Yeah, and if that's what you think, I feel like that ends up being kind of just a loser kind of mentality, right? Because just as much as hindsight is 20/20, hindsight about something that you think you could have gone after, there's nothing that's going to be able to scratch the itch. That's your thoughts thinking, okay, man, maybe if I would have went for it, it would have all worked out. Things could be totally different, you know. So it's something where I take a lot of value when I see like older people being interviewed, and they're, you know, being asked, like, you know, what's the one thing you wish you could have changed, or what's the one thing you wish you did or you didn't do. And it's almost always like, you know, I always wanted to be an artist or a sculptor in college, but I just didn't get into it, or or just anything like that, right? And it's always, yeah, I wish I would have gone for it, you know. So that's where with the working out, that was the one thing that really kind of took me a level up, or a step above, because I like the diving. I was pretty good at the diving. I was diving in college for the first year, but you know, it was a thing I was doing. I didn't have that same like totally bring it kind of mentality about that as I do with the working out now. So if that answers your question, that's all I got for you. But plan now is go home, get some food, and then I think I'm making today's a rest day, but I don't know, I feel kind of good. I might want to do back. I guess you'll find out tomorrow. So I'll see you then.